Hey, welcome to Game Dev Weekly, the weekly game dev show. If you're new here, I'm working on Hydroneer, a mining game where you dig for gold and other resources, turn a profit and build massive mining machines. If you're interested in the game, head over to my Patreon. For $2 you can play the game and all of its updates. I also do a giveaway for one of my previous games at the end of the video, so stick around for that. This week has been a pretty mixed week. I've got a few different features I've been working on to show off. I hope you enjoy. So this week I'm just finishing off the day and night cycle that I kind of started last week. I've been doing loads and loads of tweaks, and they take a while because I have to do the tweaks, then cycle through every hour as well just to make sure that everything looks good. And I'm kind of almost there. There are a few changes that I want to make, but let's just go ahead and jump into it. The first thing that I made this week was this lantern, and I think it came out really well. You can turn it on and off and carry it around the map. But one thing that I wanted to make sure with this lantern is you can drop it wherever you want. When you save and load, it'll still be on or off depending on what you set it as. You can see here it's just sitting in the world, and if I quit the game and came back again, it would be exactly like that. If it was off, then it would still be off as well. I really like it. I added this kind of like cool material that I've added on all the other lighting elements. So this is what it looks like in nighttime. The lamp gives off just the right amount of light. It's not too bright, not too dark. As well as the street lights. I think I want to add in twice as many street lights, especially in kind of some of the areas like this where the game just needs more lighting. The stores have kind of default hidden lighting that you can see right here, just so they're always lit to make it a bit nicer when you're buying things at night. The warm lighting works really well in some areas. I really like this little area here. So now I'm happy with this lantern object, as well as how the day and night cycle is going so far. So I think I'm going to take a break for a little while and work on something else for a bit. So something I'm looking at today is buying a new microphone. I've been doing a bit of work looking at what's available online, and it seems like a Blue Yeti is actually the best one to get. I quite like this grey colour, and in fact this grey colour is actually the cheapest one out of all of them. If you look at like the black one, it's like £105. This one's only 79, so I think I'm going to pick one of these up. And to pay for this, I'm going to use the Patreon money. So all of the Patreon money will be used on buying things for Hydroneer and the videos that I make. I want to put every single penny that I get from this stuff back into the project. So this month, I think I've got a little bit left from last month. I put up some of those soundproofing tiles that you see. Put some of those up on my wall last month. So I think this month I'm going to be getting a microphone instead. I also looked at one of these boom arms as well, just to make things a little easier when I'm recording. So I'm going to pick one of these up, and hopefully in the next video or two you'll notice a bit of a difference in the sound quality. Right now I'm only using a £10 microphone and it is kind of crap. So there's a feature that I've really wanted to put in the game pretty much since the start, and I wanted to wait until the game was kind of stable enough to actually put this feature in. And one of the things that was stopping me putting this feature in is players occasionally falling through the ground. And now I've had reports from NV, one of the Patreons, that he hasn't fallen through the ground in a very long time, and neither have I. And I actually did some fixes earlier in one of the earlier patches to actually fix this. So I'm glad that it's actually finished and out of the way, and now I can work on this new feature. And this is called the Relic feature. So the way the Relic system works, there are 6 of these items here that are buried underneath the ground. An arrow, a skull, a cross, a spyglass, a sword, and a goblet. These objects are meant to be kind of artifacts of the past. The player will find these when they dig under the ground, and there'll be certain spots located all over the world where if you dig underneath this ground and you find one of these, then you can kind of pick it up and take it where you want. These relics, they're not just to look nice, they actually have a purpose. They kind of act as keys. Over here you may have seen this new area, this little cave, and inside the cave are these 4 platforms. When a relic is placed on each one of these platforms, so there's 4 of them, there's 6 relics and 4 platforms, so I've made it actually a little bit easier. You don't have to find every single relic, but once you find 4 of these relics and put them on the platforms, then a little space right here will open up and there'll be a surprise behind it. So far I've created these new textures for these models, and also programmed them to work like the other models, so you can kind of pick them up and chuck them down. There's also that drop marker as well to make it a little easier when you're actually putting them on those little platforms. So what I need to do next is create these invisible areas that once you hit them, then the relic item spawns there and then you're able to pick it up. I have to actually take a look at the save system as well, so to make it so that these spawns can only spawn one item and then they can never spawn any more again. So I'm going to get started on that. So I've just created the system that actually spawns the relics in the world, and I've hidden it somewhere in here. It's going to be a bit of a struggle to actually find it right now, but I think I know about where it is. I think it was about here. I'm going to start digging it out. So if I see it, there it is. It should be right here. So I like how it's kind of stuck here as well. I gave it like a random rotation as well, so it's not just like lying down or just sitting straight upright. I think it looks pretty cool. So once you dig it out, you can pick it up. There we go. Just pulled this one out the ground. Once these are used in the cave as well, they don't necessarily disappear. So maybe if you wanted to build a shelf in your base of operations somewhere, you can just include one of these and just sit it on the shelf. Or maybe if you're waiting to get all 4 of them and you've only got 3 of them, then you can kind of like store them in there. Just gives it a bit of some nice cosmetic things that you can put into the game. So next with this system, what I need to do is allow them to be saved and loaded in the system, as well as kind of controlling if the cave has been already opened and stuff like that. The next thing I'm working on this week is having a bed in the game. As you know, there's now the day and night cycle, so I think it'd be nice to have something where you can kind of skip back to the daytime if you're kind of just annoyed about the night. So here is a bed, and I've got some cubes next to it just so I can measure to make sure it's in that kind of grid space that I work in. So I work in a kind of 100 units by 100 units grid. And this thing is going to be 100 units by 200 units and then 100 units tall as well. And a problem that I got is this bed model that I have here is actually a bit too big. So you can see this is kind of the size that we need it to be. And it's quite a bit too long. It's alright on the thickness, like it can be under. It's just the problem of it being over. So what I need to do is kind of grab this end and push it a bit more this way, and grab this end and push it a bit more this way, just so it looks nice and symmetrical. Okay, so now the bed is resized in Substance Painter. So this is where I do all my texture work in. I think I'm just going to keep it kind of simple, give this some wood stuff down here in these beams, maybe a bit of metal here. So I use all these preset materials that I've already made. They're quite simple to use. Let's say I want to do these metal parts right here. I just kind of take in one of my metals. This is like my favorite metal to use, really. And it mainly is set to work on bigger pieces. You can see here it works quite nice. And then down here it isn't working as nice, but that's fine. I can kind of just change the parameters inside the actual material. So that's looking a lot nicer, especially for this part right here. Then I just need to kind of quickly add a mask, and the mask is basically just telling it where it needs to have its material. I'm just going to do this for all of these metal pieces right here. I'm using this black and white filter here just so I can see the material really easily. It lets me see if I've accidentally painted it on a wrong surface or something like that. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with how this has come out. I think it looks pretty nice, fits the theme pretty well, and now is ready to be sent into the game. So now the bed is in the game. Obviously the lighting changes from Substance Painter when I put it into Unreal Engine. So I got to make sure that whenever I put in a model that the lighting still looks okay. And I think it looks cool. So right now what I need to do is just to test to make sure that it works. So I just put it into the system that I use for actually building items. So you can see right here when I'm placing these foundation blocks, it uses this kind of grid-based system, and there's a lot of parameters that make it work like that. So I just got to make sure that I've set it up properly, so it should work just fine. Yeah, it's working great. So I'll place it down right here. So next thing I need to do is add in some more functionality. So instead of just having the default building functionality like we have with these kind of foundation blocks, with the bed, with all the other building items, what it needs to do is that when a player comes along and clicks on it, it checks that it is daytime, and then it basically makes the player lie in it, kind of face upwards, like Minecraft style, I guess. And what I want to do is make it so the sun kind of, instead of it just snapping to the right time, that the sun actually moves all the way around until it is, let's say, I don't know, the morning, when the sunrise. And now the bed has some actual functionality. So let's put down some foundations on the bed again. So there's a few parts to this. First up, I wanted the sky to move around really quick when you were using it. And also the player needs to have a locked off functionality and also return to the same spot as well. So it's not just kicking you out wherever in case it pushes you into a wall. So this is what I got. Now we're back here and it's just sunrise right now. You can see the lights are still on, so in about a minute or two they'll actually turn off. And you're ready to go for the day. I like that it actually starts you off when it's kind of a bit dark. If you ever had to get up early for work in real life, you know how you kind of get up and it's already still dark and there's a little bit of sunrise. You can kind of see the clouds poking through right here. So I think that's really nice. I'm totally happy to kind of go ahead with this and to call this one finished. That's going to do it for this week. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in playing Hydroneer, check out my Patreon. The link is in the description with all my other links. I also have the giveaway I do in all my videos. Drop a comment on the video and in a few days I'll go in there and pick one out to give you a free Steam key of my previous game, The Scuttle. I'm not planning to put out a video next week. I need to take some time off since things have been a bit hectic since moving home, as well as a certain game release. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.